Welcome to Hotline Weekend, your ultimate weekend getaway for nonstop excitement and entertainment. Join us every week as we bring you Metro News Hotline's most popular features, engaging interviews, and thrilling games. Kick back, relax, and relive the highlights of our most talked about segments. Hotline Weekend, your ultimate dose of fun and unforgettable moments.
Well, let's get Chef Paul Smith in here to talk about food prep, the restaurant business in West Virginia. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're fine. Okay, I was asking Coop this at the beginning of the show today. You know, you're kind of on the clock with your Thanksgiving leftovers if they're in the refrigerator, not the freezer, right?
Yeah, you're right on that. I was thinking about that as you guys were talking about it. I'd say your turkey is probably, if it wasn't dry before, it probably is now.
And not only that, you've probably been opening up the refrigerator and seeing some stuff from last Thursday that you've already passed on for a couple of days. So have you got any suggestions for, like, just some sort of concoction that can use a lot of different ingredients before you have to throw that stuff out?
Man, I really don't at this point. I think if you're looking at whether leftovers tonight, you may want to just call in and order a pizza.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I also talked to Coop in the 3 o'clock hour a little bit about a woman who works the Butterball Turkey talk line. Her name is Phyllis. Yeah. And she took nearly, they answer, not just her, but there's a team of them. They take about 15,000 calls on Thanksgiving Day, and some of the stories are just unbelievable. One person wanted to know whether it was safe to put an engagement ring inside a turkey. You know?
I've seen a lot of things in the restaurant world in the last 28 years, but that is a first for me. I would say, I hope they said no.
Yeah. But I mean, have you ever heard of anything like that where somebody would come to you and say, hey, Paul, you know, could you put this engagement ring at like the bottom of an ice cream sundae or something?
Oh yeah, we've had that. You know, can you bake a cake with it? Can you put it in a creme brulee? You know, those types of things. We've done a couple of things like that before, never baked in, but, you know, put something on top. You know, tie a string to a dessert, and then, you know, then the person could kind of slide it down onto the dessert, you know, those types of things. But baking it in there, I think you're asking for a broken tooth or a swallowed ring.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, you can understand people get panicked on Thanksgiving, right? I mean, for a lot of people, they don't really know what they're doing, or even if they know what they're doing, there's a lot of family pressure. I mean, here's a story. This woman got a call from somebody who wanted to know if it would be okay if they could thaw a turkey with an electric blanket.
Yeah, now that's that's some ingenuity there. That is another one. There's a couple firsts today on this show. You've heard it here first, but no, you're exactly right. I mean, you have family over. There's probably a little bit of Beaujolais involved. And you know, if you aren't comfortable with it, get someone else to make it for you. Get some takeout. You know, there's plenty of catering places or somewhere in town that you can get a turkey and some sides made, or, you know, maybe go out. I definitely suggest that. It is a lot of pressure, and I think you would rather do that or have a professional do it for you than, you know, put yourself in a stressful situation, especially when you've got family in town.
Oh, you know what? Well, I asked for a lot of questions from our listeners, and we have a ton. Are you ready for some of these?
I am ready.
Okay. Here's a question for Paul. What's the easiest way to cut sweet potatoes? We have sharp knives. However, I'd like to keep my fingers and hands. Perhaps I should bring out...
Sweet potatoes are tough. I like to cut peel it, obviously, if first, and then cut a little sliver off of one side and then turn it on that side so you have a base, a flat base, and then take a sharp knife and kind of in a sawing motion down. I think that's one of the keys, is make sure your knife is sharp so you're putting less pressure
By the way, that note came in from Brenda from Grafton, one of our regular listeners. So, Brenda, don't have Joe bring out the chainsaw. You're good. You're good. You're fine with that. Let's see. 304-549. Dave, ask Paul, any chance of 1010 doing a beef bourguignon? I'd love to see the chef's take on that classic French dish. What about it, Paul?
Yeah, we've done beef bourguignon before. We did it with gnocchi. I think it was not too long ago. Right now, we have a beef stroganoff on the menu, our take on that. That's a great question. I like that. I do, at 1010, we do a lot of classic dishes and just put a little nouveau twist on it. So, yeah, we'll do it, and I'll let you know so you can post about it. But that'll be something we'll do probably in the next month. It's a good call.
Well, I tell you what, Paul, if you do that, go ahead and send me a note, and we'll talk about it on the air.
I'll absolutely do that. Let's
see. Here's another one, 304-216. Dave, I've heard Paul talk about turkey, wild turkey, and a little bit about his love of oysters. I love fried oysters. Talk to me into trying oysters another way. I still like my fried oysters.
Yeah, of course, I love a raw oyster, but make sure you're getting it from a reputable source, or when you're out of town, or, go down to General Steak and Seafood and grab some fresh oysters. Maybe we did some recently with a sriracha butter. So we took sriracha and butter, a little bit of salt, probably about 4-to-1 butter to sriracha. Mix it up, soften your butter, mix it up, cool it down, harden it up, take a little bit, pop the oyster top off, and then put the sriracha butter, pop it in a broiler oven or just at 350 degrees for about 4 or 5 minutes, just so that melts on there. Oh, man, it's delicious. Finish it with a little sea salt when it comes out.
Great answer, Paul. I have so many topics that I wanted to talk about, but we have so many great listener questions. Let's keep it going with this. Here's one from Todd. Hey, Paul, I struggle to get eggs to peel easily for deviled eggs. What's the secret?
Yeah, there are so many different wives' tales or thoughts on that one. Possibly a touch of vinegar in the boiling water. Shock it in cold ice water. The fresher the egg, the better they peel, which you don't really know, unless you're getting farm fresh eggs from the farm. We tend to cook them from cold water, bring them up to a boil, let them cook for about 12 minutes, sit them off to the side for 5, and then shock them in ice cold water, and they seem to peel really well. But it's a crapshoot.
Hey, I've got time for one question that I did want to talk about, and I sent you a note about rising fast food prices. Coop and I were talking about this last week. Coop took himself and his daughter to Chick-fil-A and spent what was it, $35, Coop?
Yeah, it was like $33, yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So I'm seeing...
You're exactly right.
I'm seeing McDonald's prices are up 10% this year. They were up 10% last year. Chipotle has raised prices 5 times since June of 2021. The fact that these fast food places and places like Chipotle are raising their prices so quickly, is that good for places like the Pitch?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that I would rather take my family out to a nice sit-down restaurant, make sure that we're getting things that aren't processed. Fast food burgers, you don't really know what's in there. Obviously, Chick-fil-A is delicious, and Chipotle, they both use those places use fresh ingredients. But I do think you're missing out on kind of that family experience, because a lot of times, half the time the kids are eating in the car on the way home. You're dipping the nuggets in the filet, the Chick-fil-A sauce, whatever it is. I think that the gap is narrowing between, the fast food and the casual restaurants. And I'm hoping that means that more people will come out and dine in these restaurants. If not the Pitch, then, go to the Bucket or the Cold Spot or whatever your favorite wing or sports bar or fast casual restaurant is. I really think that it's just better for you, number one, than fast food.
All right, got to leave it there. Paul, great stuff as always. Great to talk to you about what to do with those Thanksgiving leftovers. I promise we won't do that next week because it'll be too late to eat that stuff. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next Monday at 4 o'clock.
This is Hotline Weekend.
Let's get Abrar Al-Hidi in here to talk about some of the biggest stories in tech over the last week. Abrar, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
What do you think the takeout place is that you have visited the most in your life?
I am a huge Dairy Queen fan, and there's no Dairy Queen in San Francisco. So every time I go back home to Illinois, I hit up that drive-thru like it's my only job.
You know what? That's hard to believe that there would be no DQ in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think I have to go about an hour out to find one, which is absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes I just want a Blizzard.
I hear you.
Good ice cream.
What's your go-to Blizzard?
Oh, I love the s'mores one during the summer, and then otherwise I get like cookie dough. Yeah.
All right. Now, I'd really rather talk about Dairy Queen. Actually, though, let's get to the hard news of what's going on in the tech world. So, tell me a little bit more about this Google story where they're going to start deleting old accounts in 2 days, because I got a couple of questions for you, but set this up.
Yeah. So if there's an account, a Google account that you haven't used in at least 2 years, Google is going to delete it. So that means a Gmail, if you have a Gmail account that you just haven't really opened or sent any emails from, those messages will get deleted. Your documents, your YouTube videos and all that history, all of that would just be wiped. And so what you have to do in order to prevent this is it's actually pretty simple. You just have to essentially log in and use any of these features. The good news is Google is everywhere. So do a Google search from that account, or watch a YouTube video from that account, or send an email, even read an email. So there is an easy way to go about it. The trick here is going to be to remember your password and your login if you haven't logged in over 2 years. But there are tools that they have. There's like a password tool that can help you recover that. There's also an account recovery tool if you forget your email address.
All right. So, for example, a couple of specific questions about this. If you're on a Chrome browser and you have logged into your Google account, there's no reason for you to do anything, right? If that's your primary browser, you don't need to do anything.
That's right. If that's connected to the account, then you're good. Yep.
Okay. What about YouTube? Now, YouTube is also owned by Google. If you're just logged in so that every time you go to YouTube, you're logged into Google, you don't have to worry about that either, right?
Exactly. You're logged in, you just watch a video, you're all good there as well.
Okay. Google, by the way, amazing. It was, what are we talking, 16, 17 years ago when Google bought YouTube for like $1.6 billion, and people were like, what are you doing? That's going to be the craziest thing ever. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Google made like $29 billion last year. It's going to turn out to be maybe the greatest deal ever in the history of tech. All right, let me ask you this. What if you've got a Google email account and it's been dormant? You haven't sent any email in the last couple of years. If you're logged in, you're good to go, or do you have to send an email?
You can at least even just read an email, just open something up. You could also send an email, but I think even just reading something, just clicking something, opening it, just logging into it really is the trick here. So if it's something that you just haven't even logged into or touched anything at all, that's where you'll run into trouble. But just all you really got to do is log in, look at some stuff, and you're good to go.
Now, I'm not an expert in tech, but one of the things I thought about when I saw this story was, well, they need the space. They're trying to clean this thing up. They need space. That's not exactly correct, right? It's just if you haven't used these accounts in a couple of years, there's a pretty good chance all that stuff's corrupted.
That's right. So basically what their fear is if you have an account that hasn't been logged into for a long time, your password, it's highly likely that your password has been compromised in some way, because think about, it's probably an old or a reused password that could have been compromised at some point, or you never set up two-factor authentication. It's really more the security risk, which is why the reason they're purging all of this. But it's also good to know that if your account does get deleted, no one can ever have your same email address, right? So no one's going to grab that email address and try to scam you in that way. So you'll be okay there too.
Is this the first time Google's ever done this?
It's the first time that I've heard of it. And I wonder, but I think as far as I know, it is the first time.
Wow. That's a really kind of an interesting story. All right. A couple of other things here. Well, we've got something here about Spotify. Spotify 2023 Wrapped brings more personality to your streaming habits. Let's talk about Spotify a bit.
Yeah, so Spotify does this thing every year, not just with Wrapped and telling you what your top artists and what your top songs are and how many hours you listen, but they tend to do this really cool feature because they know that you're going to want to share this on social media. So they'll have some sort of custom feature. So for this year, it's me in 23, which means that they kind of take your habits of what you've listened to and then use that to determine what your personality is. So if you're a luminary, that means you play kind of like this light, upbeat music. Or if you are a shapeshifter, I thought this one was funny. It means that you kind of just jump around with different songs or artists. But I think it's kind of funny because people are so obsessed with like their like astrology, for example. And so I feel like this is Spotify's version of that, of like, well, you're a Pisces if you do this. But yeah, it's funny because, and then the other thing that they do, which is really fun, is they've created something called the Sound Town, which it determines what city you are based on like the year that you're, like the type of stuff that you stream, which I want to learn more about what cities people got. One of my coworkers got like somewhere in Vermont, which was really random. I don't know how they determine what town you're supposed to belong in, depending on what you listen to.
Hey, let me ask you, have things calmed down in your office now after Cyber Monday and Black Friday?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are finally catching their breath, but it does feel like we're kind of in the home stretch of the year, so it's going to be holiday shopping now, so like kind of slowed down, but at the same time, we're still just cranking out all the holiday shopping recommendations, so I don't think it's going to slow down until 2024, to be honest.
I mean, but this, so many, I'm getting emails, and I'm sure everybody else gets them, that are saying, hey, Cyber Monday, it may be Wednesday, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, actually, we have an article. I even at least yesterday, it was still being updated on Cyber Monday deals that are still available. I think we're probably still updating it now. I feel like the idea of Black Friday, it's no longer one day. Cyber Monday is no longer one day. Companies want your money. They'll keep it. And also, I kind of felt like the deals weren't like incredible this year, at least for Black Friday. Even Cyber Monday, I got a Kindle for like $20 off, which I did not think was enough. But I think they're kind of extending the window because they know the deals weren't that great.
You know what? This is a story that Coop and I continued to talk about off the air last week that you brought to our attention. Why Apple adding RCS won't change the blue bubble, green bubble texting drama. You know, it's sort of like if I send him a text, I'm Apple and he's Google. I'm hoping he gets it. I hope he gets it, but I don't really know if he got it.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because I was really excited about this. So, RCS is the texting standard that's on a lot of Android phones, and then because Apple has iMessage. And so Apple has decided to adopt RCS. But the problem here is that, I was really excited thinking, okay, communication is going to get better. But it seems to be that you'll still have the blue bubbles and the green bubbles, and you'll still have iMessage saying, well, we have this and they don't. And you'll have Google saying, we have this and they don't. So unfortunately, it seems like it won't be this big harmonious moment of unity where we all kind of have the same communication platform. It should get a little better. Like hopefully we'll be able to send high resolution images and videos, but it's not going to be like we're all one big happy family.
I had a question. I was confused on this because I wasn't sure. And frankly, this doesn't matter to me, but I hear a lot of people talking about it. As far as like the typing progress and things like that and the scene sent or sent scene and things like that, is that going to translate or is that also going to remain in a walled garden?
It will translate. Actually, that's the exciting part. So, yeah,
that's what I thought. Okay, good. So it's just the bubble collar is the thing that's going to be different.
Yeah. Which is really honestly petty on Apple's part. And
it is.
Just really hanging tight to that. Yeah. That's
really weird that they're doing that. But I am glad. I know that people aesthetically will be disappointed, but the fact that you're going to get like the scene sent and get typing notifications, that's the real meat.
You know what?
And hopefully that removes the stigma of the colors. People will care less about the colors, hopefully. Yeah.
Both are beautiful.
Yes. I think yes, they are. That was a great thought, Coop. Appreciate that. One of these things about messages, though, when you're getting a message, you'll be talking with somebody, and then you'll see a message is being formed to sent back to you, and then it doesn't come. You think, is it something I said? What happened? Or is this person suddenly sending a text to somebody else that's not in this conversation? What just happened?
It's just, I mean, and it's 2023, it's actually really crazy to me that we're having these conversations about how difficult it is to text people. But the basics, we just got to figure out the basics. We're over here developing AI and we can't even text each other.
Just briefly, I don't want to derail this, but Abrar, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the old platform ICQ. Do you remember that at all?
I actually don't.
ICQ was a multi-platform app that came, we would call them an app now, but it was like a Windows program back in the day that you could combine all of your chat platforms, so AOL, Yahoo, and everything else in one place. We could do that back before the year 2000. Well, it doesn't make any sense.
And that's what Meta wants to do now, right? They want to combine it. They want to get your WhatsApp messages and your Messenger messages and your Instagram DMs all in one platform. And to think that was already a thing, in the past is hilarious.
All right, gotta leave it there.
This is Hotline Weekend. Welcome to Hotline Weekend, your ultimate weekend getaway for nonstop excitement and entertainment.
Coop, let's start with college football.
Okay, I can do that.
So Arkansas is bringing back Bobby Petrino. Did you see that?
I did.
So Petrino is coming back as the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. He was the head coach there from 2008 to 2011, and then, he had the thing with the motorcycle and the 25-year-old person that he hired working in the office. It didn't work out. But now they're bringing it back. Everything old is new again in college football. So, better story about a coach who returned to his former job. Better story about a coach who returned to his former job. Greg Schiano at Rutgers. They're from 2001 to 2011 and is now currently the head coach again. Or Bill Snyder at K-State. 1989 to 2005 and then 2009 to 2018. Better story for you, Greg Schiano or Bill Snyder? Please pick one.
I have a feeling I'm forgetting some stuff about the Schiano story because I remember that being pretty hot at the time.
Chopping wood.
Yeah, I remember being pretty hot at the time. However, we lived the Snyder story for many years here. After he came back, he seemed to really have West Virginia's number for a long time. I think I have to go with the Snyder story as being the bigger one.
Okay. Remember how he used to wear that windbreaker from like a bowl game from like years ago?
For sure.
That was actually pretty cool.
He was a brand. He's a brand.
He's a kind of brand. All right. Bradley Cooper, the actor, he was asked recently, would he do Hangover 4? And he said he'd do it in an instant. In fact, he said he'd do Hangover 4 and Hangover 5.
Would they delete 3 first?
Yeah, that'll probably be for the best. All right, so the pick one is better fourth movie in a franchise.
Oh, nice.
Better fourth movie in a franchise. Mad Max Fury Road or Star Trek 4 The Voyage Home. Better fourth movie in a franchise. Mad Max Fury Road, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Please pick one.
Man, Star Trek 4 is the one where they go back in time and go to San Francisco and the whales and all that stuff, right?
I just remember it being about bringing Spock back to life.
That was the third one.
Was it?
It was The Search for Spock, yeah? The fourth one was, because it's the odd ones that are supposed to be great. The fourth one is the one where they go to San Francisco and it's like in the 80s and they have the whales. There's no real villain in it. And the whales, I think, save the day. That's an underrated Star Wars movie.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're exactly right. Because
most people think the odd Star Trek movies are the best, that 1, 3, 5, so on and so forth. I like that one a lot. I like 4 a lot. However, Mad Max Fury Road is not only one of the best fourth entries into a franchise ever, it's one of the best sci-fi movies that's ever been made. So, unfortunately, the answer is very easy there. It's Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max Fury Road is easily the answer.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, that's one of the best sci-fi genre movies ever made. Absolutely.
I saw, I love that site, Ultimate Classic Rock. And I was looking at a list last night trying to find stuff for this segment today, and they had a great one. Like 35 of the best songs not sung by the lead singer.
Oh, great.
I
cool.
really love this.
That's really nice, yeah.
So here you go. Best song not sung by the lead singer. Take It to the Limit by the Eagles. Randy Meisner did that. Or Heart's These Dreams by Nancy Wilson. In or out?
Ooh.
Take It to the Limit, Randy Meisner of the Eagles, or These Dreams by Heart. Nancy Wilson sang the lead.
You know what? With the upset, I got to go with Heart there a little bit, I think. Maybe a little bit of an upset. I got to go with Heart. I think they're one of the most underrated rock bands from the United States anyway, and I'm going to go with Nancy Wilson on this one.
Now, she sang a lot.
Yeah, she did.
But she didn't sing lead until this song.
Nice.
All right, so here's another one, for another category. This is category 4. McDonald's is finding a way to cash in on nostalgia again. They're bringing back the McNugget Buddies. Now, McDonald's has got like a long and very successful history of toys that they give away with the food. So McNugget Buddies are coming back. So better prize at McDonald's, Hot Wheels or Beanie Babies? Of the giveaways at McDonald's, better giveaway, Hot Wheels or the Beanie Babies? Not in or out. Please pick one.
I was never into Beanie Babies, so for me it would have been Hot Wheels for sure. Although the ultimate answer would be the glass tumblers that they had for various franchises. But yeah, I think the Hot Wheels would definitely be my answer on that one.
Hot Wheels goes back to like 83.
Yeah.
And those things are really valuable now.
Really? The McDonald's ones are?
Yes.
Yeah. My daughter loves Hot Wheels too.
She does?
Oh yeah, she loves them.
Finally, the Hollywood Reporter's got a big story today, a big expose on the Golden Bachelor. So the Golden Bachelor, secret girlfriends, juiced up resume. Jerry Turner's got some skeletons. He's an old guy. He's been on the planet a long time. He's done a lot of stuff. So the Golden Bachelor has a not so golden past. But as a show, the Golden Bachelor or the Bachelorette?
Oh, my
Golden
gosh.
Bachelor or the Bachelorette? Please pick one.
Oh, man, I can't.
You can't.
With both of those shows, man. Okay, the only thing I know about those shows are Chris Lawrence's recaps. He does recaps for the morning news, and that's literally the only thing I know about those shows. I've never watched either of them. I don't have any interest to watch either of them. It is like the quintessential brain dead TV to me. It's like all the stuff that I hate about television is encapsulated in the various Bachelor franchises. Man, that being said, both of these branches of the franchise are super stupid and creepy, but for some reason the golden one gives me a little extra cringe. So I guess, what's the answer? Which one is worse or better?
Pick one your favorite of the two.
I guess The Bachelorette, but I've never watched a second, and I never will.
Don't we have a promo in the air where Carrie talks about the Bachelor?
Yeah, I think
the Golden Bachelor?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff. All right, what do you got? What do you got for me?
All right, I'm going to start with you. We cover a lot of the times, Germain Lussier comes on the program. He'll be here tomorrow, and he talks a lot about genre properties, Star Wars in particular. He's a huge Star Wars fan. He covers all of the Marvel stuff as well. But let's take a look at Star Wars. There's been a little bit of a problem in the Star Wars franchise recently. There's been people haven't been really captivated by especially the series releases and the new movies that have come out as well. So my contention has always been Star Wars needs to get rid of the 50-year period and the 3 planets that they always work on and expand. And not only expand what they're working on, but expand their genres. They've done that a little bit, but I think they should really take it to the next level. So pick the best Star Wars concept show for the next new Star Wars show. Okay? Seinfeld in space. Basically, not the Seinfeld cast, but just like Seinfeld, but it's like in a Death Star, and they live in the Death Star, and the crazy guy lives across the hallway in the Death Star, and everything Star Wars related, but it's like Seinfeld.
Okay,
it's a show about nothing. It's about nothing in space. All right, or The Wire. Star Wars The Wire. So it's like a police procedural where, you got a couple of detectives that are working the Star Wars beat. They're trying to figure out who's, smuggling the spice or whatever it might be. Who's doing the Keswick run and all that stuff. Maybe there's a cameo by like a Solo relative or somewhere in there. So which of these shows would you rather see Star Wars do? Seinfeld in space or The Wire in space?
Okay, man, I love this one. That's really, that's inspired. Okay, first of all, with the Seinfeld thing, you already have like Star Trek Below Deck.
True.
Right? And that's worked. That's funny.
It has.
It's a funny cartoon.
Star Wars needs way more of that.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I love the concept of The Wire.
Me too, actually. I think it would be great.
That would be, young punks and stuff. Yeah, it's good. I like that. That's the one I would pick.
All right, The Wire in space. Let's try to sell that to Kathleen Kennedy and see what happens. Okay. Here's a great question, and this is you're the perfect demo for this, because we got to really lean into the 80s a little bit here and think about heartthrobs.
Okay.
Maybe that's not your lane, but you'll get it here. Okay, so pick the best double threat, and by double threat I mean an actor who had a hit song but wasn't a singer.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Patrick Swayze and She's Like the Wind,
Yeah.
or Don Johnson and Heartbeat.
Man.
I was proud of this one.
You know, that is really good. That is really, really good. I don't know. You know what? I'm a guy, so I got to relate more to Don Johnson. You know, and Don Johnson, you know, he kind of had this air of like, hey, I know a little bit about music. Patrick Swayze just seemed like a clean money grab. Okay,
that's a very good point. Actually, Don Johnson actually seemed like a musician.
Yeah. You know what? I think he was on a record with some Southern rockers, right?
He did.
Didn't he do something with Dickie Betts?
Seems like it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. Okay, and Heartbeat. I'm going to try to use that as a bumper coming up. Okay. All right. I like this question as well. So, pick which of these things you would rather do. Would you rather patent a ubiquitously used invention like Velcro or something?
Okay.
Or write an iconic hit song that stands the test of time?
Okay. Well, first of all, from the monetary aspect of it, I mean, there's two things, but you know, it's very difficult to judge. Well, I think it'd probably have to go with the art. So it'd have to be like an unbelievable song.
Okay. All right. I thought that was an interesting one. Okay. Next to last. If you can forget you watched a television series for the purpose of watching it again for the first time, like it was the first time, would you rather forget and rewatch Billions or Succession?
I think I've really... Now, I'm a Billions mark.
Right.
Okay, I've seen every episode of Billions. I'm still not over the fact it's over. Okay, but Succession is a much better show. Succession is a much better show. So Succession is the answer.
So you'd rather forget Succession so you can watch it all again?
Yeah, the Billions had like a serious break in the middle of the show where they just went in a different direction.
I got you.
If I could go back and just miss that entire part, I probably would. But Succession is good from the jump.
All right, very briefly here, slogan off. Pick the best slogan. M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hands, or KFC, finger looking good?
KFC. First of all, it's shorter.
And you're a KFC mark.
And it's meat.
Oh, yeah, great point.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it. That's 5.
All right. Well, you know, we're only 90 seconds over. That's not bad. We can still improve, but it's not bad.
This is Hotline Weekend.
You know what? I need to spend a couple of minutes talking to Germain Lussier. I've got so much stuff to talk to him about from Gizmodo.com. Germain, how you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you.
Hey, we had a conversation with one of our entertainment reporters earlier this week about kind of I don't want to call them dismal numbers, but the Disney animated movie Wish didn't do that well in its opening weekend. And we're kind of kicking it back and forth. And this reporter's opinion was that maybe Disney Plus is part of the problem, that people who are subscribing to Disney Plus kind of get a little complacent. Everything's right there on TV, and they don't want to go to the theater to see anything new. And that might be part of the problem with, you know, the malaise with what's going on with Disney and Marvel. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's something to that?
Absolutely something to that. It's definitely part of the formula. Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, you know, they were getting movies on Disney Plus day and date, even if they had to pay for it. Some of the other movies in the last couple of months have been on there a month and a half later. And, you know, like, it's not like Wish, it has any huge spoilers in it. You know, it's a Disney princess movie. I bet you can guess how it ends.
Yeah.
But it's like, so there's no rush to go out to the theater and spend $60, $70 just on tickets, you know, for a family of 4. So I think that's definitely part of it. I think that's just one aspect. I don't think the trailers really inspired any excitement. It didn't look like it was anything new. It's frankly not anything new. It was also they couldn't really promote the heck out of it during the strikes, you know. So I think there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle of why that movie and a lot of these Disney movies are not doing well. But the Disney Plus angle is absolutely a factor.
You know, Bob Iger did a press event earlier this week, and I don't know if he got any questions about that. There was a little bit of news that got generated out there that apparently at this point for Disney, ABC's not for sale. But, you know, when you look at what happened with Wish in the theater over the weekend, I mean, what is the solution in terms of Disney Plus? Maybe not have something that's in the theater rush to the streaming service so quickly? Could that be part of it?
It's absolutely part of it. I mean, even Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which wasn't a big hit for them, is coming out on the streaming service tomorrow, December 1st. That movie opened in June. So, you're looking at like 5 months of wait here, and I think that's going to actually draw a lot of people to it. Like, they took their time with it. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, again, not a huge hit in comparison to other movies, and also not Disney, but that's still not on Paramount Plus. It's available on Blu-ray and stuff because that's a moneymaker, but I think they do have to start holding these things back, and I think they are. They're sort of tiering like, okay, this is a theatrical movie. We're going to treat it like it's gold. And then there's a silver that maybe is a theatrical movie that goes fast. And maybe there's a bronze that just goes straight to Disney Plus. And I think that's okay. But I think having people discern or making that clear is probably a very difficult thing to do.
And we're talking with Germain Lussier from Gizmodo.com. And Germain, you just put up a story literally 2 hours ago. And I love this headline. Tom Holland only wants to do Spider-Man 4 if it's worth the while. Now, when I saw that headline, I had to laugh. I mean, there is no way that Tom Holland would turn down an opportunity to be Spider-Man, right? Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
He's saying the right things.
Okay.
Right? But think about – so here's the other thing, though. That wasn't my headline. I didn't even realize they changed it. I had to put the headline. But because I didn't look at it when it went up. But the fact is, if he, they could do it without him. You could reboot it if you wanted to. Probably not. But the main thing I think in his mind, and this is why he's saying this, is what if we rush to make a new one and it's not as good? And it's going to hurt. It would hurt the other movies. It's, that's happened with franchise after franchise, like Indiana Jones 4 and Indiana Jones 5. You still love your original trilogy, but a lot of people don't like those, and it's kind of it brings the thing down a notch,
That's
and
fair.
I think that's what he's talking about. But yeah, if they back up a truck of money to him and say, "Oh, we're going to make you the lead of this movie, and then also the next 2 Avengers movies, and Toby and Andrew are going to be there, and your girlfriend is in all these movies," yeah, how's he going to say no?
Well, you're right about that. I guess from an agent's perspective, this is kind of a good plan, right? You don't want to seem too anxious. Yeah, I mean, the franchise with Spider-Man 4, really, you'd have to change a lot of things if Tom Holland wasn't in there, but I just thought that was a pretty funny headline. You know what? Coop's out today, but he and I talked a little bit about Loki season 2, and one of his problems with it was that he felt like it felt a little small, that it didn't seem kind of as wilding and such a crazy story as season 1 was. And I thought that was a valid criticism, but I didn't realize until you posted this story on Tuesday of this week that there's a making of season 2, Loki. I didn't even know this existed. Tell me about it.
Well, they do it basically every single Marvel for sure, and Star Wars mostly, about either the week after or within the next month on Disney Plus. Again, a great example of what Disney Plus can do. They release a making of documentary, and the Loki one just came out this week. They're all called Assembled. Assembled, the making of WandaVision. Assembled, the making of Loki. And the season 2 one is really, really good. A lot of really fun tidbits in there. So worth a watch if you enjoyed it. And even if you didn't enjoy it, you'll find seeing everybody involved's passion for it is always really fun. And as for Coop's thoughts, I think he's right up until the final 2 episodes. And I think the final 2 episodes, for me, really made the season better than the rest of it. I mean, come on. I'm not going to spoil it on the air here because some people still haven't watched it or are planning to. But the events, especially that last episode, are pretty freaking epic. Like the ending of the show changes the entire facet of the MCU, which in a way that few things have in the last couple years. So I agree that it wasn't as good as the first season, but I think it ended pretty strong.
Well, I watched all the episodes, but I have not seen the making of documentary for season 2, Loki season 2. I will watch that. I want to watch that. All right, finally, we got about 90 seconds here, but I did want to bring up this story that you wrote on Monday about Timothy Oliphant. And he's going to be part of the FX show about the Alien franchise. Man, he is working a lot. Justified, I mean, they just rebooted Justified. My problem with the Justified reboot was that I guess I didn't realize how much I really liked how that series was set in Kentucky, that I just never really identified when they move it to Detroit. But he's a really good actor. And what do you know about this series on FX with Alien?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I love Timothy Olyphant. But yeah, so it's weird. So obviously Alien is a big name franchise, and we had the movies, and then we had their kind of Prometheus and Alien, whatever it was called that came out after it that I didn't quite love. But now they're doing a couple new things with it. One is a new movie that comes out in theaters this coming summer, and that's going to be set between the first and second movie. We don't know what it's about, but that it's set between the first and second movie. This TV show with Timothy Olyphant is even more interesting. It's on FX. It's by the guy who did Fargo and Legion, Noah Hawley, and it's set 7 years in them right now. And so how the alien, xenomorph character that we know and love fits into it, I don't know. But it's going to be about like Weyland-Yutani, the company that's at the center of the franchise, and sort of how they start to try to develop the artificial intelligence like Bishop and Ash from the movies. It's going to be kind of the story of them developing that. So it's Alien, but it's kind of tangentially Alien. But they said the Xenomorph's going to be in it. I'm very, very curious about it. They've already shot a couple episodes before the strike, and now they're going to gear up to it. But it probably won't be out until late next year, early 25.
All right, good deal. Got to leave it there, Germain. By the way, you've just posted the best horror, sci-fi, and fantasy streaming options for December. If you follow me on X, I'll be retweeting that when we get to the break. Germain, thanks for coming on the show. I'll talk to you next week.
Welcome to Hotline Weekend, your ultimate weekend getaway for nonstop excitement and entertainment.
All right, Coop, hit the open for Aristotle Jones.
Oh, those West Virginia.
All together now.
There you go.
all together now.
Take a deep breath for that. I'm telling you, man, that was good.
Hey, man, where are you tonight?
Man, I'm back up in Morgantown, but I do want to give a shout out to all the soft drinks because I got one for you, man.
Okay.
I grew up in Huntington, and we had really cool like stands, like ice cream stands and hot dog shops. So I got to give a shout out to Stewart's and the root beer and their orange cream soda and Frost Top.
Yeah,
and,
Frost Top.
Huntington with the root beer. Those are my go-tos, man. I lived a block away from Frost Top one summer. Let me tell you, I get about a gallon jug. Awesome.
You know what, Frost Top, that is a good call on your part. All right, when you come on the show, one of the things that makes this segment totally unique is, there are segments that talk about local music, but you also talk about the venues. I really like that. So let's talk about one in Morgantown tonight.
I always say, if you don't go, you don't know. When you go to these places, you see friendly faces. And talking about a place to get a good drink is Cosmo in the Suncrest Town Center in Morgantown. Now, it's a newer music venue, and they kind of have a really great, like, upscale vibe. It's a great place to get a handcrafted cocktail, has a spirited nightlife, and, they always have these really cool high-end cover bands there. So if you just want to go see live music, but you want to, listen to more familiar music, Cosmo's a place for you. This month they have No Bad Juju is going to be playing there, Junior Pez and the Slick Nuts. The Bill Henry Band's going to be doing R&B. And tonight, if you go there, you can catch Radio Tokyo, and they're like a top 40 cover band. So live music, kind of a mainstream atmosphere, great place to just hang out and maybe take a date.
All right, so that's Cosmo in the Suncrest Town Center right there in Morgantown. All right, let's talk about Huey Mack.
Yeah, so, I thought it was, since it's wintertime and, we're looking for some new sounds coming out. Huey Mack from Morgantown, West Virginia, he actually has ties to WVIP Media because his dad is Eric McGuire.
Oh, really?
So it's one of those things. Yeah, so Huey Mack started off being up here in Morgantown, and he's done some really great things out on the music scene nationally, and he released a really cool sound. He started off in hip-hop, but he kind of like Post Malone in that vibe where he kind of pivoted to doing some singer-songwriter style music. He did a collaboration with Charles Wesley Godwin not too long ago, and he just released a brand new song today. So here is Stay by Huey Mack.
All right, let's have it, Coop. Stay by Huey Mack.
7:30 in the morning, sun shining on that bed. I knew I'd love you till I didn't have any love left. They say nobody's perfect. Well, that might be true, but I bet they never seen you in that black satin dress. So even if the sky falls down and our whole world goes up in flames, even if we lose it all and you can't make sense out of anything, all the nights you wanna give it up, all the times you wanna walk away, darling, I'll still stay. Yeah, I'll still stay. I used to live like a hurricane.
Hey, you know what? You sent me the notes on Huey Mack, and he does kind of have that Post Malone vibe.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's kind of like that when your music fits in that middle vein in your crossover, you have a little bit of flexibility. But now Post Malone is even doing like some country sounds, and so like I think you're going to have a new wave of maturing artists that came maybe in their early 20s were doing hip hop and rap that are now doing like singer songwriter style. So be on the lookout for Huey Mack. It's a fantastic song. Stay.
Yeah, it was good. I like that. All right, tell me about something that's happening right there in Morgantown on Sunday.
That's right. Since I'm back in town, you know, we had to give a shout out to one of our legacy artists. Now, normally, or earlier this year, I played a song about Al Anderson, and he's an 86-year-old rock and soul legend that lives right down the street from me here in Osage, West Virginia. And we also played some music by Lady D, who's West Virginia's first lady of soul. Well, on Sunday, December 3rd, just coming up this weekend, you can catch both Lady D and Al Anderson on the same stage for a film called Those Who Came Before, which Lady D made, which features Al, and then you're going to see Al's concert on stage. So that's at the Encore in Morgantown, and you can get tickets at theencorewv.com. And, you know, since we're getting close to the New Year's, I thought maybe we could play Al's hit song that he recorded with Billy Ward and the Dominoes way back in the 1960s. Here's Billy Ward and the Dominoes featuring Al Anderson. What are you doing New Year's Eve?
Will hold you good and tight when it's exactly 12 o'clock at night, welcoming in the new year. New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. Maybe I'm crazy to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose. Out of 1,000 invitations you receive, well, just in case I stand one little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve.
Oh, man, that's great. That's
Let
great.
me tell you what, me and Al, we are the leaders of the Osage Gospel and Soul Community Choir up here in our neighborhood. And he broke this song out at 86 years old. He can still hit that note. To receive. Man, I'm telling you. So please, this is a chance to come out and see Al Anderson on stage, 43 years in the biz. On stage at the Encore Sunday, December 3rd, and you get to catch a movie about the Black creative contributors of West Virginia. I Learned Something. It's part 3 of Those Who Came Before. There's part 1 and 2 out, and this is part 3, and it features a story about Al Anderson. So in Morgantown, we're gonna have a great weekend of music, and paying tribute to all of the people that paved the road for us. Man, I love live music, and I want to thank everybody for being part of it.
Good deal. Aristotle Jones, Sounds Good West Virginia. Don't forget about his show tomorrow and many affiliates that carry our show.
Tomorrow on Sounds Good to Me, you'll hear a full-hour interview with Al Anderson.
That's fantastic. Hey,
Yep.
Aristotle, thanks for coming on the show. I'll talk to you next Friday.
Metro News Hotline, weekdays from 3 until 6. Syndicated over the air and online at WVMetronews.com.